So to start unit one, what we're going to be looking is we're going to learn what we call constructions. We're going to construct the bisector of an angle. So bisector basically means I'm going to cut the angle in half. So we're going to cut this angle. We're going to create the bisector of the angle. We're going to construct a copy of each angle given. I'm not looking at the length of the sides. I'm looking at the aperture. How far are these sides separated? So we're going to construct a copy of an angle, and we're going to construct a line segment congruent to each line segment. So now congruent, in reality, what it means is a copy. I'm going to copy that line segment. Okay. But for this, I'm going to show you guys using our homework. So I'm going to log in. So we're going to go into construction of an angle, bisector, copy of an angle, in segment. When you guys press on the link, here I'm going to go continue without signing in. So I'm going to press that. It asking me for my name. In my case, I'm going to type in Mr. Leonzo. Okay, so I'm going to go that. I'm going to type in my name. You guys, please use your whole name. I may have people with the same first name. I may have people with the same last name. So please use first and last. So type in your whole name, and then I'm going to press go. So then here, it's going to open our homework. Like I said, we're going to do our three constructions. We're going to do all three. However, it's going to be showing us two of each. So I need to make sure it's going to give me two of each. Now here, the the segment here, this angle, you guys can see the angle, this corner here, those points I cannot move, right? I try to drag them and nothing happens. I can move this ruler. We're going to call it straight edge because it doesn't have any measurements. If you guys see, I can drag it and I can move it. With those points, drag, click and hold. So you guys can see I can move my straight edge. Like again, it's like a ruler. Okay. And then your compass. We don't see the whole compass here. Let me bring it down. You see here. Now your compass, there's some ways that you guys need to learn, some things you guys need to learn. If I grab here at the side, if I click and hold, you guys see how it grabbed it? Like it looks like the hand grabbed it. I can move my compass. So this is how you're gonna move your compass. You can also grab it from the other side. So as long as you grab it from the sides, as you guys can see, you can move the compass where you need it. To open the compass, you guys see these 2 points, one at the end of this side and one at the end of the pencil. It doesn't matter which point you grab and hold, you guys are gonna open the compass. Open or close, right? You can open or close the compass. So those two buttons are for you to open or close the compass. The aperture of the compass is very important in certain things. Now, if I grab it here, I'm just going to rotate it. If I grab it here at the side, I'm just going to rotate my compass to see where it's going to go, but nothing is being marked. Nothing is happening. Now, the way you need to mark something on your compass, you're going to hold the pencil. Okay? You're going to press and hold the pencil, and you're going to bring it along. With this compass, eventually you should be able to draw an entire circle. I'm going to come here. See, if I go all the way around, I should be able to draw an entire circle. We're not going to need entire circles always. We're going to be using just part of a circle, which is what we call an arc. Okay, so let me refresh this. Hopefully things reset. Okay, well, let me get my eraser because I'm going to erase the markings that I did. Okay. So again, now that we know how to move everything, we're going to start. So let's construct the bisector of an angle. So I want to draw a segment. I want to draw a line that goes in the middle of the angle. Now this is how we're going to do it. I'm going to grab my compass. I'm going to bring this. I'm going to make sure you have it here in the move tool. So I'm going to grab this. I'm going to bring this to the corner of the angle. You guys see this point right here? This point? I moved it to the corner of my angle. We tend to call that the vertex. Now, how open am I going to have my compass? It doesn't matter. Okay, so it doesn't matter, so I'm just going to have it there. All that matters is that a compass is set at the vertex of the angle. And then I'm going to draw an arc. I'm going to draw an arc that touches both sides of my angle. So I'm going to grab my pencil and then I'm going to draw an arc. How big is it? It doesn't matter. All I cared is that it touches both sides of my angle. Then I'm going to move this. Now we're going to call an intersection. Let me grab my pen here. Let me draw this pen. You don't have to do this marking, but I'm going to point out. You guys see this right here? I'm putting my arrow there. You guys see that? I'm going to call it intersection where two things cross. So I'm going to call that the intersection of the arc and the angle, right? The one side of the angle. If you notice, they intersect, they cross at this point. You guys see it? Again, you don't have to do those markings, but I'm marking it so we can see. So let me erase my stuff. See, notice how I click on eraser? Oh, it also erased my arc. So let me draw my arc again. Let me go here under. I'm gonna center my angle there again, and I create my arc. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm gonna center my compass at the intersection. I'm gonna center there, and then I'm gonna do an arc somewhere inside the angle. And then I'm gonna move my compass to the other intersection, and then I'm gonna do another arc. So let me move my compass to the side. So far what I did, I did an arc. My compass was centered at the vertex. Now from each of my intersections, and when I say each of my intersections, let me grab my pen again. Here is one intersection. Here's another intersection. I center the compass there and I did an arc in here. Now you see my two arcs, they intersect, right? You guys can see the point there. Now let me grab my ruler. Let me grab my straight edge. I want to connect. I really want to connect a line that connects the vertex of the angle, so the vertex of the angle, and the intersection of my arcs. So move your ruler as needed. Actually, I'm going to move my ruler about there. So again, I want to connect the vertex of the angle and the intersection of my arcs. Now that I have the ruler, I'm going to click on the pen. So here's my pen at the bottom. I'm going to put it close to the edge of my ruler. I'm going to press and hold, and then I'm going to go. Notice how my point, I'm not going straight on the ruler. As long as I'm close by, this program knows I'm drawing my aligned using my ruler. Let me move my ruler. So I'm going to click on this. Let me move this and there. Now this segment that I just drew, is a segment that goes in the middle of the angle. And that's really what I'm asking you guys to draw, a bisector of the angle. Now, could it be a little bit off? Are we going to have some mistakes? Of course. One, you want to point out something on my end here at the corner. See how I didn't quite center it well? So I may be off by 1 degree or two. It's fine. It is fine. Like I'm gonna accept some little mistakes. I just want us to practice. So do the best that you can. The way I'm gonna be grading this, I'm gonna be following your work. What I need to see is the initial arc, this initial arc, these two arcs that we do in the center, and then that you're connecting them to the vertex. Okay, so there's we constructed the bisector. I did an example of it. You guys are going to do a second example. So notice how here on the top I went next, and it says construct the bisector of the given angle. There you go. Do it again. You guys will have to do two examples of each construction. I'm not going to do a second example. You guys can pretty much follow along on the first example. Let me take a look at the next construction. It says construct a copy of the given angle. Okay, so I need to copy this angle. And I'm talking about the aperture here. I don't care about the length of the sights. So I need to copy the aperture of the angle. So the first thing I'm going to do is pretty simple. I'm just going to draw a line segment. So I'm going to copy my angle down here. Let me move this. I'm going to put my ruler here, and then I'm going to click on my pen, and I'm just going to go. I don't care how big is the segment. I know for an angle, I need two line segments, or there it is. There's one. I already copied one segment. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to put a dot here to show that that's my vertex. Now, the next point, let me move this up. Let me click on Move Tools. I'm going to move my compass here to the vertex of the angle that I'm copying. How open is my compass? It doesn't matter. So I'm just going to open it there. The opening of the compass doesn't matter. Just make sure you draw an arc that crosses both sides. Now let me grab my compass, keep the same aperture, Let me bring it to the vertex of my new angle, and I'm going to draw an arc. So let me move this out of the way. So just to go over what we have done, I just did a segment. Gonna go there. I did an arc on my angle, and then keeping the same aperture of the compass, I made an arc right here at the copy, at the bottom, right where I'm gonna copy it. Now the next step is the very, very important step. I'm gonna bring my compass, and I need to measure this aperture. The way I'm gonna measure my aperture is the 2 points on the compass. I'm going to put one point at one of my intersections, and then I'm going to put the other point at the other intersection. So see, I put my compass. With my compass, I'm going to measure how big is my arc. And the way I measure it is with one side of the compass, one of my dots, I put it at one intersection, and the other dot, the other end of the compass, I put at the other intersection. Now, don't change the aperture of the compass. Just grab the compass, bring it down. Notice how I center one of my dots. I put it at the intersection that we have down here. You see that? I put it right at the intersection. And now let me create an arc. See? Now let me remove my compass out of the way. Now I want us to see, you don't have to do this next marking, okay? This next arrow. I just want us to see this intersection. Okay. I did mark it because I want us to see it. I'm going to mark that intersection with the vertex of the angle. I'm going to create a segment there. So let me erase this, and now I'll be done. All right. So let's see. What I said is I'm going to connect the intersection with the vertex of my angle. So I'm going to put my point in there. So see how my ruler is connecting the vertex of the angle with that intersection. I'm going to grab my pen. And there I go. Let me remove my ruler so you guys can see. And there, this angle, the aperture of this angle is as big as this other angle. The length of the segments, the sides, I don't care how big they are. We don't care. When we say the copy of an angle, we're not talking about the length of the segments. We're talking about the aperture of the angle. Now, some of you guys might have seen this color thing. If you click on that, that's if you want to choose different colors. Okay, you want to draw your pen a different colored or your ruler and stuff. So it is there. Some people like things color coded, so it's up to you. But I'm just going over the constructions. This is how we copy an angle. So question number 3, I just did it. You guys follow along. Question number 4, it says construct a copy of the given angle. It gives you a different angle. Do you guys know how to do the steps? Okay, let's take a look at the last construction of the day. Remember, we're gonna do two copies of this, two of these. Construct a copy of the given line segment. I'm gonna copy this segment. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm gonna measure how big is, well, to begin with, I'm gonna do starting point. I noticed for the line segment, I really need 2 points. There's one on each end. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to draw 1 point. I'm going to draw a point somewhere. There. You notice how the 5 and 6 are the same thing, okay? So I did my starting point. Now I need to have my aperture, I need to measure my line segment. I'm going to grab my compass at one end point of the angle on the segment that I'm copying, and then the other at the other endpoint. Actually, let me change question number 5. I'll fix it on my end. Let me do my example here with number 6. So again, all I need is my initial point, and then my compass, my 2 points, my two endpoints of the compass. I'm measuring how big is this line segment. You see what I did? Let me remove the compass. See how my line segment had two endpoints? You see my 2 points from the compass? I put them right there. So I measure how big is my line segment. Now, one of these endpoints, I'm going to bring it here to my point that I just drew. Let me remove this out of the way. See how I drew that point? And remember I said I was going to start there. So I'm going to put it here, and then I'm going to draw an arc. Now let me move this out of the way. Now, what I'm going to do, let me connect my ruler. I want my ruler to connect the point that I there and my arc. So that's what I need to do. And I'm just going to draw a segment that connects my point with the arc. Let me move my ruler out of the way. See? You guys see it? This segment and this segment, they are the same size. How do I know? Because they are this big. See how I measure that segment with my compass, and then here I measure it in the same length, same size? That's how I know. Those two segments are the same. Okay? Now that you guys have it, so let's take a look at our notes. We talk about constructing the bisector of an angle. You could say you guys have to do two examples on your homework. We talk about copying an angle, and we talk about constructing a line segment congruent to each given line segment. So we copy the segments. Again, from each of these constructions, I did one of each. In your homework, you have to do two of each. I'm gonna grade this manually, and you guys should be seeing your grades on the grade book. Okay. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me. Okay.